Dark chosen ones, 3 rarest gifts from God you have not discovered yet. There comes a moment in life when silence speaks louder than voices, when the world quiets itself just enough for you to hear something ancient stirring inside you. It's not a sound, not even a whisper. It's a knowing, a sacred hum vibrating through your bones, reminding you of something you've always felt but never fully understood. You are not like the others. No, you were never meant to be. You are one of the dark chosen ones, and before you reject that title or flinch at the word dark, listen closely, because darkness here is not evil. It is depth. It is the void where the divine hides the rarest treasures, and most people will never go deep enough to find them. You felt it, haven't you? That aching sense of misplacement, that haunting feeling that you walk a path no one else sees. While others chase comfort, you've been dragged into storms. While they pray for light, you've learned how to see in the pitch black. You were trained in the shadows for a reason. And no, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You were never cursed. You were marked, and that mark is spiritual fireproofing for the soul. The first rare gift from God is hidden in this exact fire, the gift of divine isolation.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
You see, divine isolation is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is a wound, but divine isolation is a womb. It births something sacred within you. When God chooses someone for a rare purpose, He often separates them from the crowd, not to punish them, but to prepare them. He silences the noise so you can hear His whisper. That's why your life may have felt like exile. Friendships crumbled, lovers left, families misunderstood you. But what if that wasn't abandonment? What if it was divine surgery, cutting away everything that would distract you from the mission you were born to fulfill? Think back. How many times have you been in a room full of people and still felt utterly alone? How many times have you tried to fit in, only to feel more out of place the more you tried? That wasn't because you were broken. It was because you were being broken open, so you could find what was inside, so you could learn to stand when no one clapped, so you could endure the silence long enough to hear the voice of God echo inside your own soul. Here's the paradox. Divine isolation doesn't just separate you from others, it connects you directly to Source. While the world is busy chasing validation, you are being initiated into revelation. But only if you don't run from the silence. Only if you dare to sit in it. Can you sit in silence long enough to hear who you really are? The second rarest gift from God is even more misunderstood. It is the gift of sacred rage. Yes, rage. That burning fire inside you that you've tried to suppress, numb, or explain away. Society teaches us that anger is bad, but sacred rage is not the same as uncontrolled fury. No, this is the fire of divine justice. It is the thunderous heartbeat of God moving through your chest, awakening you to what must change in this world. You are given this rage not to destroy but to rebuild, not to hurt but to heal. The world is full of injustice and most people simply accept it. You cannot. That rage you feel when someone is silenced, when a lie is accepted as truth, when a child cries and no one listens. That is not weakness. That is your inner divine warrior waking up. That is your soul saying, I remember why I came here. And the reason you feel so much is because you were meant to change so. But sacred rage must be alchemized. If you don't transmute it, it will consume you. That's why so many chosen ones become addicts or depressed or anxious. They carry fire that no one taught them how to use. But once you learn to channel that fire, once you realize that your anger is a compass pointing to your purpose, you become unstoppable. You become a vessel of divine change. Now let's pause. Ask yourself, what have I been angry about my whole life? Not the surface things, but the deep, soul-level fury that never seems to go away. Is it injustice? Is it manipulation? Is it betrayal? That's not random. That's your assignment. That's your divine area of influence, and until you honor that rage, you will never fully step into your power. The third rarest gift from God is the most mystical of all. It is the gift of the hidden veil. This is the ability to see what others cannot, to sense beyond the five senses, to read energy in a room before anyone speaks, to dream things that later happen, to feel the suffering of others as if it were your own. You've had this gift since childhood, haven't you? You just didn't know what to call it. You are called too sensitive, too intense, too emotional. But what if sensitivity is just another word for spiritual perception? This gift is your inner radar. It's how you know when someone is lying, even if their words sound perfect. It's how you can feel someone's pain, even when they smile. It's why crowds exhaust you and why silence heals you. You are not broken. You are tuned in to something higher, something deeper, something ancient. But this gift comes with a cost. Because when you see the truth, you can no longer pretend. When you feel the pain of others, you can no longer ignore it. That's why so many dark chosen ones isolate themselves. It's not because they hate people, it's because they feel everything too deeply. And in a world addicted to numbness, feeling deeply is a revolutionary act. So now you know. You weren't born to be normal. You weren't meant to blend in. You were called to remember, to awaken, to carry gifts that most people will never even know exist. But gifts alone aren't enough. You must activate them. You must live them. And you must protect them. Because the world doesn't understand what it doesn't see, and your gifts are invisible to the blind. But let me ask you this. Are you willing to walk alone for a time, if it means walking in truth? Are you willing to feel the full force of your sacred rage if it means transforming the world? Are you willing to trust what you sense even when others doubt you? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary. Because the dark, chosen ones do not take the easy path. They take the soul path, the fire path. You are one of them. You've always been the fire behind your eyes. Why the world fears your light in the darkness. You've probably noticed it by now. People respond to you in strange, seemingly contradictory ways. Some are drawn to you like moths to a flame, intoxicated by your presence, your energy, your essence. And yet others recoil, project, even attack. Not because you've harmed them, but because your presence unsettles something buried deep within them. You see, when you carry the fire of the dark chosen ones, you don't have to speak to reveal truth. Your very existence becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see reflected back. The fire behind your eyes. It's not ordinary. It's not born from ego or ambition. It's born from lifetimes of initiation, from spiritual battles that most wouldn't survive. It's the quiet intensity of someone who has walked through hell and come back with holy ashes in their hands. You don't speak of all you've endured, but your energy remembers. Every scar is encoded with sacred data. Every heartbreak, a transmission of divine growth. You've been shattered, not to be destroyed, but to be scattered, so your light could reach places it never could as a whole. And still, the world tries to dim you, not because you're wrong, but because you're disruptive. You disrupt illusions, you disrupt lies, you disrupt the comfort of unconsciousness. You carry a frequency that makes it impossible for others to stay asleep in your presence. That's why you notice people getting uncomfortable when you speak truth, even when you speak it gently. That's why relationships fall apart the moment you start to evolve. You are not here to make people comfortable. You are here to awaken them. And awakening is always uncomfortable, especially for those who have built their lives on dreams they didn't question. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift instantly? Have you ever noticed how some people either open up completely to you or shut down entirely? That's not random. That's your field doing its work. You carry a kind of spiritual electricity. Your soul emits a signal that says, "I've seen behind the curtain, I can't be lied to." And that terrifies those still hiding behind masks. Understand this: when people react negatively to your light, it's not about you, it's about what you activate in them. You awaken their own buried truth, and if they're not ready to face it, they'll blame you for the discomfort. But don't dim yourself just to be loved. Don't shrink to fit places you've already outgrown. Every time you suppress your light to make others feel comfortable, a part of you dies, and you weren't born to die slowly. You were born to burn, to blaze a trail others are too afraid to walk. You were born to be a living torch in a world lost in shadow. And yes, that means you'll often walk alone. But solitude is not your enemy. It is your sanctuary. It is the sacred forge where your fire grows stronger. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you fully allowed your power to be seen? Not the polished, acceptable version of you, but the raw, fierce, divine flame that lives beneath your skin. When was the last time you let your soul speak without censorship? If you're honest, you might realize you've been hiding, not because you're weak, but because you were waiting for permission. But here's the truth. No one is going to give you permission to be great. No one is going to hand you a certificate and say, "Congratulations, you're now ready to embody your full essence." That moment never comes. You have to choose it. You have to claim it. You have to ignite it. You were never meant to be palatable. You were meant to be powerful. And power, real power, doesn't scream, it resonates. It pulses from your chest when you walk in truth. It radiates from your silence. It emanates from your eyes, even when your mouth says nothing. That's why people stare. That's why strangers feel compelled to tell you their life stories. That's why animals trust you and children sense your presence. They see what adults have been conditioned to ignore. Your soul is ancient and aflame, and yet the world will try to convince you to extinguish that fire, to be more normal, to be less intense. But the truth is, your intensity is your superpower. You are not too much. You are exactly as you were designed to be. The world needs your fire, not to burn things down, but to light the way. So here's the deeper question. Are you willing to be feared for your authenticity rather than loved for a lie? Are you ready to walk boldly into the spaces where your light is needed most, even if that means being misunderstood? Because true spiritual warriors are never understood by the world they came to transform. They are remembered only after they've left sparks in the souls of others. And you, my friend, are leaving sparks everywhere you go. Don't stop now. The sacred pain of purpose. Why you've suffered so much and what it was really preparing you for. There's a quiet ache that lives in the hearts of the dark chosen ones. It's not just sadness. It's not just trauma. It's deeper than grief and older than any single lifetime. It's the ache of remembering something your conscious mind cannot explain, but your soul never forgot. The pain that has followed you, the suffering that seems to stalk you through each chapter of your life. It is not random, it is not punishment, it is preparation, divine preparation. You see, the universe doesn't waste pain, not when you are chosen, not when your very existence is an assignment. It molds you through fire because only fire forges the kind of strength required to carry true spiritual power. If you had not known rejection, how would you recognize authenticity? If you had not been betrayed, how would you discern truth from illusion? If you had not been broken, how would you have discovered what cannot be destroyed within you? Every wound you've endured carved a space in you for deeper wisdom. Every heartbreak cracked open a portal for light to come in. And every tear was a baptism. You've been initiated through suffering into a level of spiritual awareness that no textbook could teach. And you may not have realized it, but your pain was always sacred. It was the language of transformation. But most people run from it. Only a few, those like you, have the courage to sit in the fire and ask, what is this trying to show me? Do you remember the nights you cried alone when no one was there to hold you? Those weren't moments of weakness, those were sacred meetings with the divine. You were being stripped of the illusions that others still depend on. You were being emptied so you could be filled with something real. And yes, it hurt. It left you raw, but it also left you receptive. That's why you can feel people's pain without them saying a word. That's why you can walk into a space and feel the unspoken tension in the air. You've become a living instrument of the unseen. But such sensitivity is not born from ease. It is born from enduring what others could never carry. And still you ask, why me? Why did I have to go through so much? The answer is both simple and profound. Because you were built for it. Because your soul volunteered. Not for suffering's sake, but for transformation. You entered this life with a contract, a divine agreement, that you would walk through the fire first, so you could become the light for others still trapped in the dark. That you would bleed so others could heal. That you would remember even when it broke you, so others could awaken through your example. This is the alchemy of spiritual suffering, and it is one of the rarest and most misunderstood gifts from God. Most people never see their pain as holy, but when you shift your perspective, when you begin to see your wounds not as evidence of abandonment but as sacred markings of initiation, everything changes. Your story becomes your scripture, your scars become your credentials, your suffering becomes your sanctuary. And here's the hidden truth. The more sacred your mission, the more intense your initiation. That's why it always felt like you had to fight harder just to breathe. That's why others seemed to glide through life while you crawled through storms. It's not because you were cursed, it's because you were chosen. Not chosen for comfort, but for capacity, and capacity is forged in pain. But there's a turning point, a sacred threshold, a moment when the suffering no longer owns you, but serves you. When you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this awakening in me?" That is when the sacred purpose of your pain reveals itself. That's when you realize that nothing has been wasted. Not the tears, not the silence, not the nights you questioned your own worth. It was all a divine blueprint, preparing you to carry something extraordinary. Look around you. The world is full of people pretending to be whole. But you, because of your pain, know how to be real. The world is starving for realness, for depth, for someone who hasn't just memorized truth, but who became truth through fire. That someone is you. You are the living evidence that transformation is possible. That sacred suffering leads to sacred strength. So I ask you now, what if your pain was never meant to break you, but to wake you? What if every loss was a lesson in deeper love? What if every betrayal was a redirection toward your real tribe? What if the very things you thought disqualified you were actually the things that made you qualified to lead, to heal, to serve? You've already survived what was meant to destroy you. That alone proves your power. Now it's time to turn that pain into purpose. Let the world feel the medicine you carry, because the ones who have suffered the deepest are often the ones who heal the most. The final key, why your destiny was hidden in plain sight and how to unlock it now. You've been searching so long for answers, for meaning, for the missing key that would finally unlock the door to your destiny. You've read the books, followed the signs, listened to the whispers, and yet that lingering feeling remains. There's still something more, something just beyond reach. But what if the final piece you've been searching for has never been hidden from you, but hidden by you? The truth is, your destiny wasn't placed on some distant mountaintop or buried in a sacred temple. It was embedded in your being, woven into the threads of your soul before you ever took your first breath. The reason it feels so elusive isn't because it's far away, it's because you were trained to look everywhere but within. Conditioned to believe that your purpose had to look a certain way, loud, flashy, validated by the world. But no, your true purpose is quieter, deeper. It reveals itself not in achievement, but in alignment. You've already caught glimpses of it in those moments when time disappeared and your heart caught fire. In those conversations where your words felt like they were coming from a place far beyond you. In those quiet nudges, those gut feelings, those strange coincidences that were never coincidences at all. That was your soul speaking. That was your destiny waving at you from within the ordinary. But here's the sacred twist. Your destiny doesn't arrive fully formed. It's not a perfectly wrapped gift handed to you by angels. It's a seed. And seeds don't look like forests. They look like potential. They require faith, patience, and the courage to believe in what you cannot yet see. That's why the final gift, the rarest of the three, is the gift of divine activation. It's the moment when you stop waiting for permission and start living like your soul already knows the way. And it does. It always has. Here's what most people don't realize. Destiny isn't a destination. It's a frequency. A vibration you begin to embody when you align your outer life with your inner truth. That means saying yes to what feeds your soul and no to what drains it. It means choosing authenticity over approval. It means trusting the path, even when it makes no logical sense. Because your soul's path was never logical, it was sacred. You unlock your destiny not by force, but by remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, remembering the dreams you buried because they were unrealistic, remembering the moments as a child when you felt most alive, most magical, most yourself. That is where your destiny has always lived. In plain sight, in the things that made your soul exhale. So I ask you now, with everything in you, what have you always known but been too afraid to claim? What truth have you silenced to stay safe? What dream have you dimmed to avoid being too much? That's the key. That's the door. That's the fire waiting to be lit. And yes, the world may resist you. You may lose people. You may be misunderstood. But let them go, because the ones who are meant for your frequency will find you. They will feel you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. You were never here to live someone else's script. You were never meant to walk someone else's path. You are a dark chosen one, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. And that realness, that raw, radiant truth pulsing through your being, that is the rarest gift of all. So now, activate it, live it, embody it. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. Welcome home. Your destiny has been waiting.